You can feel it in your bones when a man is wrong for you, that subtle tightening in your chest, that effort to appear softer, smaller, more pleasing. You sense that something in you has to dim just to keep his love alive, and yet you stay hoping that devotion will transform what instinct has already warned against. But there is another kind of man, the one whose presence feels like truth. He doesn't dazzle you with charm or chase you with noise. He enters quietly, but something ancient in you stirs when he does. His eyes do not search for what he can take. They recognize what is already sacred. His love does not demand that you change. It invites you to remember who you are. Most women never meet him, not because he is rare, but because they are still hypnotized by archetypes of wounding. They seek the savior, the rebel, the fantasy men who ignite their longing but not their becoming. They fall for the projection of their own unhealed story, mistaking intensity for connection and chaos for passion. But the soul knows better. Deep within, it waits for a man whose presence does not disturb its peace but deepens it. A man who feels less like desire and more like destiny. And Jung would say, such a man can only be recognized, never pursued, for he mirrors the part of your psyche that has matured enough to meet him. There are patterns, ancient, symbolic, eternal, that reveal his nature. 6 archetypes through which the right man reveals himself. You will see them in the way he listens, in the steadiness of his presence, in how your nervous system softens when he enters the room. These are not tricks of attraction. They are signals of alignment between two souls, ready to meet beyond illusion. Ignore them, and you will keep reliving the same pattern, the same ache in different forms, the same lesson disguised as love. Recognize them, and something miraculous happens. You stop searching. You begin to attract. You no longer chase. What drains you? You draw in what completes the circle. Listen carefully, for these are the 6 archetypes of the right man for you. When you understand them, you will never again confuse attachment for connection, fantasy for fate, or desire for destiny. You will know by the calm in your body and the clarity in your heart that this time you have met not just a man, but a mirror of your own wholeness. There is a kind of man whose presence settles the air when he enters a room. He does not need to speak to be felt. His energy does not press outward. It radiates inwardly, like the steady pulse of the Sunday. His strength is not measured by dominance, but by balance. He is not loud, yet everything around him seems to find its rightful place. This is the man who has become king, not in the worldly sense of crown and conquest, but in the inner sense of sovereignty. To encounter such a man is to feel something rare in modern life, peace that has weight, authority without force. He is master not of others, but of himself. His mind is not tyrant to his heart, nor his desires slaves to his impulses. Within him, thought, emotion, and instinct stand in ordered alignment, each given its rightful place under the rule of consciousness. Jung would say that this man has met his own inner kingdom, the realm of his psyche, and has brought light to its shadowed corners. The king archetype does not seek control, it seeks coherence. His order is not imposed upon life, but discovered within it. He governs his world as one who has learned that true leadership begins in the unseen, in the quiet discipline of thought, in the courage to sit with discomfort, in the humility to serve something larger than ego. The woman who meets him senses this immediately. Her body softens, not because he overwhelms her, but because he steadies her. Such a man's calm is not the absence of feeling, but the mastery of it. His composure is not detachment, but integration, the knowledge that chaos cannot be conquered by reaction, only by understanding. He does not suppress emotion. He organizes it as a conductor directs an orchestra, giving each part voice and timing. This is why his presence feels like music rather than command. His life hums with invisible symmetry. Yet for every true king, there are 100 false ones. The false king demands loyalty because he cannot trust it to arise naturally. He confuses obedience with respect and dominance with power. His need to rule others betrays his failure to rule himself. Beneath his authority lies insecurity. Beneath his pride lies fear. The false king is the shadow of the archetype, the tyrant who builds walls to hide his emptiness. You will know him by how much effort he spends to appear strong. He interrupts, boasts, conquers. He raises his voice to drown out his inner doubt. He punishes independence because he cannot meet it as equal. The woman who falls under his spell will mistake his certainty for strength until she realizes that it was noise, not harmony. The true king needs no theater. His dignity is not borrowed from admiration, it is born from awareness. In the true king, power becomes serenity. His discipline is not rigidity, but rhythm, an internal alignment with the law of life. He does not command, "Be calm." He becomes calm, and the world adjusts around him. He does not insist on loyalty, he inspires it. His authority does not come from hierarchy, but from presence. To stand near him is to feel the structure of reality itself reaffirmed. He is like the sun at its zenith, steady, bright, unhurried. He gives life without depletion, warmth without burning. The throne he sits upon is not made of gold, but of consciousness. It is carved through years of self-confrontation, of admitting mistakes, of learning restraint. His kingdom is his psyche ordered, not by perfection, but by self-awareness. The woman who meets such a man will feel her own alignment shifting. She will sense that this is not the boy who seeks mothering, nor the wanderer who fears commitment. This is the man who has come home to himself. But she must be ready for him, for the king cannot meet the woman still drawn to chaos. If she has not yet outgrown her fascination with instability, she will find his steadiness dull, his calm intimidating. She will mistake peace for boredom, reliability for lack of passion. To recognize the king, she must have become queen sovereign of her own emotions, mistress of her own inner world. Only then will she perceive that his structure is not confinement, but sanctuary. Only then will she understand that his boundaries are not walls, but architecture. The king does not imprison, he organizes. His love gives her form, just as hers gives him feeling. In such a relationship, power ceases to be struggle and becomes creation. His authority meets her intuition, his reason meets her insight, his direction meets her flow. Together they establish a realm not of dominance and submission, but of harmony and mutual recognition. The world around them begins to feel more coherent, more alive, more real. This is the essence of the king archetype, to embody order that nourishes rather than constrains, to rule not through will but through wisdom. He stands as the foundation upon which love can rest without trembling. His presence is the ground beneath the feminine's blooming, stable enough to hold her expansion, generous enough to let her reach for the Sunday. The true king does not rule her. He reigns beside her. His sovereignty invites hers, and together they reflect the ancient truth of balance, that the masculine's deepest strength is not command, but consciousness, the kind that steadies all that it touches, allowing life itself to flourish in its radiance. There is a moment in every man's life when he feels the stirring of battle within him, not a battle of blood, but of spirit. It is the call to defend what is sacred, to live for something greater than comfort. When this instinct awakens and matures, he becomes the warrior, not the destroyer, not the aggressor, but the man whose strength serves meaning. He is the one who has learned that power without purpose is violence, but purpose without courage is weakness. The true warrior does not fight to conquer, he fights to preserve. His blade is not drawn against life, but for it. He stands for the principles that cannot be bought or bargained: truth, justice, integrity, honor. He knows that to live without these is to move as a ghost among the living. The pulse of the warrior is moral clarity. His fire burns not with rage, but with devotion. You can feel his presence the way one feels the approach of a storm, not chaotic, but charged with quiet certainty. His strength is not boastful. It announces itself through stillness. He does not need to prove his might, because it is evident in his restraint. When others react, he responds. When others shout, he listens. His courage is not reckless impulse, but disciplined endurance. The woman who meets such a man feels safe in a way she has not known before, not because he shields her from life, but because he stands beside her in it. She senses that his loyalty does not waver with convenience, that his word, once given, holds weight. His love is not adorned with promises, it is anchored in presence. When he says he will be there, he is. When he cannot be, he tells her so. There is no evasion in him, no manipulation, no cowardly retreat into silence. His power does not consume, it protects. It is a shelter built of integrity. He will not let harm approach what he cherishes, but neither will he imprison it in his protection. He guards not by possession, but by vigilance. He defends her right to live as herself, to speak her truth, to stand in her own strength. In this, his love becomes a mirror of the divine masculine, active, present, aware. The false warrior, however, lives in the shadow of this archetype. He confuses aggression with strength. He fights to feel alive, not to serve life. His violence is inwardly directed, a war against his own inadequacy. He seeks enemies because he cannot face the emptiness within. You will know him by his restlessness, by his need to dominate conversation, by the heat that never cools into purpose. He will boast of his battles, but his victories leave nothing standing. He wounds to prove his worth. He breaks what he does not understand. He mistakes conquest for intimacy and demands submission where he cannot earn respect. The false warrior is not a protector of life. He is its frightened child, playing at strength because he has never learned peace. In contrast, the true warrior's strength is shaped by discipline, the devotion to a path that demands constant self-mastery. He trains his impulses as one trains a wild horse, with patience, firmness, and respect. He knows that untempered aggression burns through everything, including the one who wields it. So he learns restraint, the sacred art of holding power without releasing it needlessly. His sword remains sheathed, not out of fear, but reverence. In him, aggression has been transmuted into purpose. He can stand his ground without hostility, speak his truth without cruelty, act decisively without arrogance. His confidence is not loud because it does not come from the need to be seen. It comes from the quiet knowledge of his own capability. He has faced his inner cowardice, his tendency to flee when things grow uncertain. He has failed, fallen, and risen again, not once, but many times. Each scar on his psyche has become a symbol of victory over the ego. A woman senses this before he speaks of it. She recognizes the stillness that only comes from self-confrontation. His eyes carry depth, not distance, the mark of a man who has looked into his own shadow and did not turn away. He does not fear her emotion because he has faced his own rage and despair. He does not mock her intuition because he has come to trust his. When the true warrior loves, his devotion is absolute. But it is not the dependency of a boy clinging to comfort. It is the vow of a man who has found meaning in responsibility. He knows that love is not weakness, that tenderness is not surrender. He does not flee from the feminine, he reveres it. For him, love is the sacred battleground where truth must constantly be chosen over pride. This is what sets him apart, his willingness to choose courage over cowardice, even in intimacy. When conflict arises, he does not retreat behind indifference or hide in anger. He stands and listens, not because it is easy, but because he understands that love requires endurance. He does not win by silencing her. He wins by remaining present when every instinct tells him to run. His bravery is not in his battles with others, but in his refusal to flee from the emotional fire that love demands. The woman who loves such a man finds that her own courage awakens. His steadiness calls forth her depth. His commitment to purpose mirrors her commitment to truth. In his presence, she begins to trust not only him, but herself. For safety is not born from protection alone. It is born from recognition, from knowing that one's soul is met by another who will not vanish when the storm begins. In mythology, the warrior is often depicted kneeling before something greater than himself, the Grail, the light, the goddess, the king. This posture is not submission, but reverence. It is the acknowledgement that strength without service becomes tyranny. The true warrior bows, not because he is weak, but because he has understood humility as the highest expression of power. He is the knight whose sword protects, whose armor is not for pride, but for purpose. And when he sheathes his blade, it is not because he has lost, but because he knows the battle is sacred and must not be waged lightly. The sword becomes a symbol of discernment, the ability to cut through illusion and act in accordance with what is right. The woman who recognizes the warrior will know it by the quality of his presence. When he looks at her, there is focus, not fixation, but awareness. He does not devour her with his gaze. He sees her with clarity, as one sees a horizon after a long storm. Around him, she feels her own edges firming, her own voice strengthening. He is not threatened by her power, he is nourished by it. Her strength does not diminish him, it completes him. There is an ancient alchemy that occurs between the true warrior and the awakened feminine. Her compassion tempers his fire, his courage anchors her emotion. Together they form the eternal dance of eros and logos, love and order, intuition and action. She teaches him to feel without fear. He teaches her to stand without apology. In each, the other finds what was missing. But this union cannot exist where either remains unconscious. The warrior who has not yet faced his shadow will destroy what he cannot control. The woman who has not yet found her boundaries will mistake destruction for passion. Their love will burn too hot, consuming itself. Only when both have matured does passion become sacred fire, a flame that warms rather than devours. The mature warrior's love is fierce, but never cruel. His protection does not smother, it steadies. His strength does not demand gratitude, it gives freely. He does not rescue her from her own trials. He stands beside her as she faces them. He knows that to take her burden is to steal her growth. So he guards her not from pain, but from harm. There is a subtle difference between the two, and it is everything. Pain transforms, harm destroys. The false warrior harms in the name of love. The true warrior guards the space in which love transforms. He understands that the feminine does not need saving, she needs witnessing. His strength becomes the vessel within which she can unfold, knowing that nothing she reveals will make him retreat. When such a man enters her life, her nervous system recognizes him before her mind does. She feels her breath deepen, her shoulders release. She no longer feels the need to manage, to lead, to defend. She can relax, not into dependence, but into trust. His presence gives her permission to soften, not because she must, but because she wants to. This is the essence of the warrior, the balance of strength and tenderness, action and patience, power and humility. He does not draw his sword for praise, nor put it away out of fear. He uses it only when necessary, guided not by anger, but by conscience. And when he is not fighting, he is at peace, not restless for conflict, but grateful for calm. In his company, a woman remembers her own worth. His devotion reminds her that love can be steadfast without being suffocating. His integrity shows her that masculinity, at its highest, is not threat but blessing. She sees that a man can be fierce without being violent, powerful without being proud, protective without being possessive. The right man does not need to fight for her attention. His character wins it effortlessly. His life itself is a vow, not to her, but to what is sacred in both of them. To be loved by such a man is to be seen not as an object of conquest, but as a companion in the great work of becoming whole. In this way, the warrior's love awakens something ancient in her, the remembrance that she too is worth defending, that her emotions are not weakness, but wisdom, that her tenderness is not frailty, but the birthplace of life itself. His strength gives her permission to rise, to take her place beside him, not behind. The true warrior is rare not because he hides, but because few men have the courage to refine their power through humility. But when he appears, the world around him grows safer, more ordered, more alive. He is not a man of conquest, but of conscience. His legacy is not what he wins, but what he protects. His love, fierce and unwavering, becomes a force of alignment. It restores the sacred balance between doing and being, between masculine and feminine, between courage and compassion. And when he meets the woman who has become his counterpart, the one who carries her own light, yet welcomes his, their union becomes the emblem of wholeness itself. He does not save her, he stands beside her. She does not obey him, she walks with him. And together, they remind the world that true strength is never domination, but devotion to life, to truth, to love itself. This is the warrior, the defender of what is sacred, the protector of the real, the man who has learned that the greatest victory is not over others, but over himself. There is a kind of man whose gaze seems to reach beyond what is visible, as though he peers not at the surface of life, but into its hidden language. When he speaks, the air changes. It is not that his words are grand, but that they carry a weight, the gravity of meaning. He is the magician, the archetype of the one who sees beneath appearances, who knows that life is not only matter, but mystery. His presence does not overwhelm the senses, it awakens them. Around him, the ordinary feels charged with significance. A casual conversation turns into revelation. A fleeting silence becomes communion. He does not impress, he evokes. He does not lecture, he illuminates. What draws you to him is not his knowledge, but his curiosity, the way he listens as though everything has a soul. This is the essence of the magician archetype, awareness that the visible world is a veil through which the invisible speaks. He is the bridge between consciousness and mystery. His mind is his instrument, but his intuition is its conductor. He has descended into the unconscious and returned with symbols in his hands, not to dominate them, but to interpret them. His life becomes a dialogue between reason and revelation. The magician is not born from intellect alone. He is forged in the tension between knowledge and wonder. He has asked questions that frightened him, looked into dreams that unsettled him, faced the irrational without retreating into cynicism. He knows that truth cannot be captured by logic alone, that wisdom grows only in those who can tolerate paradox. The magician does not seek certainty, he seeks understanding. The woman who meets such a man feels an awakening of her own inner world. He does not charm her through flattery or pursuit, he draws her inward, toward herself. His attention is not possessive but reflective, it shows her parts of her psyche she has forgotten. She feels her intuition sharpen in his presence, as though her thoughts become symbols, her emotions portals to something larger. He sees the pattern beneath her story and invites her to see it too. When the magician speaks, he does not dictate, he inquires. He asks the kind of questions that disarm the ego. What are you afraid to know about yourself? What if what you call confusion is simply the birth of deeper understanding? His voice is gentle, but his insight penetrates. He does not try to fix her pain, he seeks to understand the image it carries. He knows that every emotion is a messenger from the unconscious, and that to silence it is to lose the thread of the soul's language. His power lies in perception, the ability to see through illusion without destroying wonder. He does not dismiss magic as childish, nor elevate reason as divine. For him, the two are one. Science and myth, logic and intuition, dream and reality, all are facets of the same gem. To love such a man is to walk in two worlds at once, the visible and the symbolic, the literal and the luminous. Yet, like every archetype, the magician casts a shadow. The false magician is clever but not wise. He uses knowledge as weapon, not offering. He manipulates with insight instead of guiding with it. He knows how to read others but not himself. His intellect becomes his mask, his charm, his camouflage. You will know him by his restlessness, the way his curiosity lacks reverence, his confidence lacks humility. He speaks beautifully, but his words do not touch the soul, because they are not rooted in it. The true magician, by contrast, carries humility as his wand. He has learned that knowledge without love becomes arrogance, and power without conscience becomes corruption. His wisdom is not for show, it is for service. He uses it not to impress, but to uplift, not to dominate, but to clarify. His gift is transformation through awareness. He is, in essence, an alchemist of the psyche. He takes the raw material of experience, pain, loss, confusion, and, through reflection, turns it into meaning. He knows that suffering cannot always be avoided, but it can always be transmuted. His own life has been his laboratory. He has felt despair, but instead of fleeing it, he studied its texture. He has experienced doubt, but instead of silencing it, he listened until it spoke truth. This is why the magician does not fear darkness. He has lived there and found light. He has walked through the night of the soul and returned with the dawn. When others run from the unknown, he approaches it with quiet reverence, knowing that the unknown is simply the self waiting to be revealed. He teaches not through instruction, but through example, by embodying the serenity of one who trusts life's unfolding. The woman who loves him will find her inner life deepening. His presence draws her toward the symbolic. Everyday moments, a conversation, a dream, a silence begin to shimmer with meaning. He does not analyze her, he invites her to explore. He does not tell her what she is, he asks who she might become. He listens for the hidden pattern in her words, the myth her soul is unconsciously living. In his gaze, she sees not judgment but reflection, as though he is holding a mirror that reveals not her flaws, but her essence. For the magician, love itself is sacred work, the alchemy of two psyches evolving through one another. He does not see relationship as possession, but as participation in transformation. He knows that true intimacy is not the fusion of two egos, but the meeting of two mysteries. When he loves, he does so with awareness. He seeks not to bind, but to reveal, not to own, but to awaken. In mythology, the magician appears as the guide, Hermes, Thoth, Merlin, the wise one who interprets dreams, who mediates between worlds. He is the one who leads the soul through thresholds, who helps it see that death and rebirth are but stages of becoming. The woman who walks beside him experiences love as revelation. It is not always easy, for the magician's gaze is penetrating. He sees what she hides, not to expose it, but to free it. With him, love feels like expansion. He is not interested in taming her passion, but in understanding its symbolism. He asks, "What is your desire trying to teach you? What in you is seeking expression through love?" He knows that desire is not sin, but signal, that the energy of eros is not to be feared, but to be refined. In this way, the magician becomes the awakener of her creative force, the catalyst of her individuation. But he also knows the danger of his gift. The magician's shadow tempts him to remain detached, to analyze rather than experience, to observe rather than participate. His intellect can become a fortress against vulnerability. The false magician hides behind insight because he fears intimacy. The true magician opens to intimacy because he knows that without it, wisdom turns sterile. The right man, the magician in his light, does not hide behind mystique. He is transparent in his complexity. His mystery is not a performance. It is the natural consequence of depth. He has no need to appear enigmatic. He simply is. His truth is layered, his love multidimensional. He does not seek to be understood completely because he understands that no soul can be. To the woman who has evolved beyond surface attraction, this man is magnetic. His power is not sexual dominance, but psychic presence. He does not need to chase or persuade. His quiet confidence invites rather than demands. He does not promise to make her life easier, but to make it meaningful. In his company, she finds herself thinking more deeply, feeling more clearly, living more symbolically. Their conversations drift naturally into philosophy, dreams, symbols. They speak not only of what happens, but of what it means. He asks her what her dreams have been whispering. She asks him what truths he has learned in solitude. Together they weave a dialogue that bridges worlds, the seen and unseen, the conscious and the unconscious. The magician's love is subtle but transformative. He does not need to change her. His awareness calls her to change herself. He does not need to guide her directly. His example is enough. To love such a man is to live within constant reflection, every joy and sorrow revealing its deeper order. He does not promise happiness. He offers understanding, which is far rarer and far more lasting. Yet, to love him fully, she must be ready to meet herself. The magician's mirror is not gentle to those who seek illusion. His perception will strip away false innocence, false drama, false modesty. He will not flatter the ego, for his devotion is to the self, the wholeness in both of them that exists beyond personality. To stand beside him is to be reminded that love is not possession, but process, the ceaseless unfolding of consciousness. With him, she will feel both safe and challenged, seen and unsettled. But in that tension, something sacred awakens, for it is only through the friction of opposites known and unknown, reason and mystery, that the psyche evolves. His touch feels like recognition. It is not hungry, but reverent. When he looks at her, she feels not desire alone, but remembrance, as though she is not being seduced, but summoned. She senses that he sees her not as body, not as image, but as soul. And this is what makes him unforgettable. He recognizes her depths because he has walked through his own. When they make love, it is not an escape, but an invocation. The act becomes ritual. The breath becomes prayer. He meets her not to consume her energy, but to merge with it, to understand it, to let it teach him. The magician knows that love and transformation are one. Both are mysteries that dissolve boundaries and reveal unity beneath multiplicity. To live beside him is to be reminded daily that the world is alive with symbols. He sees messages in coincidence, guidance in dreams, revelation in silence. He does not dismiss intuition. He consults it. He knows that what the modern mind calls chance is often the soul's way of speaking through events. He teaches her to look at life symbolically, to interpret her experiences not as random, but as meaningful. When she feels lost, he helps her see what her confusion signifies. When she feels wounded, he helps her find what within her is ready to transform. He knows that healing is never merely the repair of pain, but the expansion of consciousness through it. Such a man does not appear often, for he belongs to the in-between, half in the world, half in the eternal. But when he does appear, his influence is lasting. He leaves behind not dependence, but depth. The women who have known him do not forget him, not because of passion, but because of perspective. He changes the way they see. The magician's gift is awareness. He helps her remember that truth is not a possession, but a living experience, one that deepens with attention, fades with neglect, and renews itself with love. He is the one who reminds her that the world, for all its suffering, is still full of meaning. And when she meets him, truly meets him, not the illusion of mystery, but the essence of depth, she understands that she is not meeting a man alone, but a mirror of her own evolving soul. The magician awakens in her the same power he embodies, the ability to see beyond, to interpret life not as random occurrence, but as revelation. This is his magic, not tricks, not spells, but consciousness itself. He is the man who transforms by seeing, who loves by understanding, who teaches without teaching. To be with him is to feel that nothing in life is ordinary, that even sorrow has sacred meaning, and that every meeting of souls is an act of creation. He does not offer certainty, he offers depth. He does not grant peace, he grants meaning. And in the end, that is the truest magic of all. There is a man whose very nearness changes the texture of the air, not because he dominates the space, but because he fills it with a quiet, living warmth. He does not need to speak loudly, nor does he demand to be seen. Yet, when he is near, the world seems more vivid. The colors sharpen, the silence deepens. You feel yourself returning, somehow, to life. This is the lover, not the seducer of fantasies or the poet of fleeting passion, but the man who feels the pulse of existence through his whole being. He is the one who has not fled from the heart. In a world that teaches men to retreat into intellect or armor, the lover has chosen to remain vulnerable, to let feeling be his compass, to let beauty wound him and awaken him. He has not confused sensitivity with weakness. He has discovered that sensitivity is strength refined through consciousness. To feel deeply and yet not be swept away by emotion, this is his art. When he looks at you, he does not look through you or around you. He looks into you, and yet he does not invade. His gaze rests gently, like light on water. He sees not what he wants to take, but what longs to be recognized. He does not praise your perfection. He reveres your being. To be seen by him is to feel remembered, as though something ancient within you has been waiting for that exact gaze to meet it. The lover's gift is presence. When he listens entirely. He does not drift toward the next task or the next thought. He gives his attention as though it were prayer. The world has taught him that productivity defines worth, yet he has rejected this deception. He knows that love cannot bloom in speed. He moves with the rhythm of life itself, unhurried, attuned, deliberate. Around him, even silence feels alive. He has learned the difference between desire and devotion. Desire is hunger, it consumes and vanishes. Devotion is nourishment, it deepens and endures. The lover does not chase excitement, he tends to intimacy. He is not seduced by novelty, for he understands that everything becomes new again when seen with reverence. His passion is not frantic, it is sacred. The false lover mistakes stimulation for connection. He seeks intensity to avoid intimacy, drama to mask emptiness. He speaks of passion but flees depth. His eyes wander because he has not yet learned to see. He collects affection the way a miser hoards gold to reassure himself of his worth. His love burns brightly but leaves only ashes. The true lover has walked through the fire of this illusion. He has known desire's fever and survived its decay. He has tasted the emptiness that follows conquest, the loneliness that follows pleasure without communion. Through this, he has come to understand that love is not the act of possessing another, but of becoming fully present before them. He has learned that the essence of Eros is not consumption, but connection. For him, beauty is not ornament, it is revelation. He can find it in a line of poetry, a gesture, a breath, a wrinkle near the eye. He sees the divine in the ordinary, and by seeing it, makes it sacred. He does not reduce love to sentimentality, he elevates it into awareness. In his eyes, tenderness is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength, for it requires openness in a world that fears it. The lover's heart is not naive. It has been broken and remade. It has known betrayal, loss, disappointment, and still it beats without bitterness. Each heartbreak has refined his perception, stripping away fantasy, revealing essence. He no longer seeks the perfect partner, he seeks truth. He no longer confuses longing with love or possession with connection. His heart has become an instrument tuned to the frequencies of the soul. To the woman who meets him, he feels both grounding and awakening. His affection does not rush. It unfolds like dawn, slowly, inevitably, naturally. Around him, she does not feel the need to perform. She finds herself exhaling, relaxing, speaking in tones she has forgotten. Her laughter returns, unforced. Her intuition sharpens. Her body, long held in vigilance, softens into trust. His presence feels less like romance and more like remembrance. He is not afraid of her emotion. When she cries, he does not panic or turn away. He listens to her tears as one would listen to rain, without interruption, without solution. He knows that emotion is the language of the soul, and that to witness it is an act of devotion. He does not rush to fix her pain, for he understands that pain, when allowed to speak, transforms itself. He does not call her too much. He does not shrink from her complexity. He is drawn to it, for he knows that the feminine soul is not linear but cyclical, not logical but luminous. He has no need to decode her. He meets her mystery with his presence. His love does not fear her darkness. It welcomes it as part of her wholeness. The lover does not divide women into saints and seductresses. He has integrated his own anima, the feminine within him, and therefore does not fear or idealize it. He has loved, lost, and reflected enough to know that the same woman can be both soft and strong, both wild and wise. He does not need her to choose one mask. He loves her precisely because she wears none. To love him is to experience yourself through his awareness. He mirrors not your image, but your essence. His attention nourishes you, but it does not consume you. He invites your soul to expand, not to contract in service of his ego. His love awakens your own capacity for feeling, for presence, for embodiment. With him, love becomes not escape, but encounter, a sacred meeting of energies that elevates both. In mythology, the lover is often associated with Dionysus, god of ecstasy, music, and rebirth. Yet the mature lover is not enslaved by ecstasy. He has drunk from the cup of passion and learned to stop before intoxication. He can surrender to feeling without being drowned by it. His joy has roots. His pleasure has depth. His sensuality is not recklessness, but reverence for life's rhythms. His body is an instrument of awareness, not a weapon of conquest. When he touches, he does not take. He listens through his hands, as though each gesture were a conversation. To him, physical union is not an act of escape, but of revelation, a return to the oneness from which all separateness arose. He knows that the body is the soul's temple, and he treats it as such. When he loves, he brings his whole being into the moment. He does not divide his attention between the person before him and the ghosts of his past. He has made peace with what has been, forgiven what must be released, and turned his full gaze toward what is. His gift is his presence, unfragmented, undistracted, undivided. The lover is not without danger. His power to feel deeply can lead him astray, if not grounded in awareness. He must guard against sentimentality, against the temptation to romanticize suffering or mistake intensity for authenticity. He must learn that love requires structure as much as surrender, that passion must serve something higher than itself, or it burns without purpose. The false lover is intoxicated by emotion. The true lover is illuminated by it. The difference lies in consciousness. The immature man seeks the high of union. The mature lover seeks the truth within it. He does not use love as escape. He uses it as mirror. Through intimacy, he confronts his own depths, his tenderness, his fear, his desire, his vulnerability. He lets love refine him. For the woman who loves him, this is both bliss and challenge. He will not let her hide. His awareness sees through pretense. His sensitivity exposes avoidance. But his gaze is gentle. It invites rather than demands. He draws her into greater authenticity, not through correction, but through being. In his company, she cannot remain half alive. Their love is not built on roles, but resonance. It is not about who leads or who follows, but about attunement, two souls moving in rhythm with something larger. There are moments of silence where words would only diminish what is felt. There are moments of passion that feel less like desire and more like prayer. Through him, she learns that the sacred is not elsewhere, it is here, in the body, in the breath, in the simple act of being present. The lover's greatest devotion is to aliveness itself. He loves not only the woman before him, but the world through her. Every act of attention becomes an offering. Every word, when spoken, carries tenderness. He does not take her for granted, because he knows that nothing alive is permanent. His love is heightened by awareness of mortality. It is fierce precisely because it is fleeting. When she is with him, she feels herself become more alive. The world seems to vibrate again with color and texture. Music sounds deeper. Touch feels sacred. The mundane becomes miraculous. This is the lover's alchemy. He restores wonder to existence. He has learned that love is not the possession of beauty, but the recognition of it. He loves not to have, but to honor. He does not need to be worshipped, for he already worships life itself. His love expands her capacity for gratitude. She finds herself thanking life for the simplest things: sunlight on the floor, his laughter, the silence between them. In his presence, she learns to feel without fear. She realizes that emotion is not fragility, but the soul's way of speaking in color. He helps her reclaim the parts of herself that had grown numb. Her heart, once guarded, now beats freely. Her body, once tense, remembers pleasure without guilt. Her soul, once weary, remembers joy without condition. When he holds her, it feels not like ownership, but like arrival. There is no rush, no conquest, only recognition. Their connection becomes a sacred rhythm. Inhale and exhale, give and receive, speak and listen. Love, in this form, is no longer transaction, it is transformation. And yet, he knows that love cannot remain in ecstasy alone. The lover understands that passion must be anchored in devotion, or it collapses into chaos. He brings to love a quiet maturity, a devotion that outlasts desire, an affection that deepens through time. He honors the fire, but he tends to its ashes too, for he knows that love, to live, must breathe both passion and patience. To love the true lover is to rediscover what it means to be human, to feel deeply without drowning, to surrender without losing self, to adore without illusion. He awakens her to the holy truth that love is not found in perfection, but in presence. When their hands meet, it feels like the completion of something begun long ago, not in this life, but in the soul's eternal search for its reflection. And in that meeting, the world seems to pause. Everything unnecessary falls away. What remains is simplicity. Two beings, fully awake, loving without demand, feeling without fear. This is the lover, the man of presence and feeling, whose passion is prayer, whose tenderness is strength, whose devotion is not to possession, but to life itself. In his love, the feminine remembers her sacred worth, and together they restore to love what the world has forgotten, that it was never meant to consume, but to consecrate. There is a man whose power is not in his words, but in the silence that surrounds them. His eyes do not seek to impress, they observe. When he speaks, the space seems to still, not because his voice is loud, but because it carries the weight of what has been lived. He is not concerned with being right. He is concerned with being real. This is the sage, the archetype of wisdom, discernment, and quiet authority. He is the man who has listened to life long enough to hear its rhythm beneath the noise. He has suffered, failed, lost, and reflected until experience has condensed into clarity. The sage is not born through intellect, but through initiation, through the long apprenticeship of solitude, through the burning away of illusions. Knowledge may be gathered, but wisdom must be earned. He does not hurry to fill silence because he knows silence is alive. It is within stillness that he communes with truth, and it is through truth that his love becomes pure. He does not charm with eloquence or seduce with flattery. His allure is understanding. When he looks at you, you feel not admiration, but comprehension, as though he has already seen every version of you and loves them all. The sage has learned the art of seeing without judging. He has studied the patterns of human behavior and found compassion in the process. He does not condemn weakness because he has met his own. He does not mock confusion because he knows how long it takes to turn pain into insight. He is patient with paradox, for he understands that all opposites serve the same truth when seen from a higher view. The false sage is the one who has intellect without humility. He speaks in abstractions, quotes wisdom he has never lived, and hides behind his cleverness. His detachment is not serenity, but avoidance. You will know him by the hollowness behind his certainty. He uses understanding as armor to protect himself from feeling. The false sage is afraid to be human. The true sage has embraced humanity as his teacher. The right man, the sage in his fullness, does not seek followers. He seeks dialogue. He listens as deeply as he speaks, because he knows that wisdom is not possession but exchange. To him, love is a conversation between two souls, committed to truth. He values transparency over perfection, reflection over reaction. He does not need to win, he needs to understand. The woman who meets such a man will find that his love is like clear water, transparent, still, but endlessly deep. He will not overwhelm her with passion, nor distract her with flattery. Instead, he will invite her to think, to question, to see. Around him, her mind awakens as much as her heart. His presence does not consume, it clarifies. He will challenge her, not with criticism, but with truth. He will mirror her inconsistencies gently, not to shame, but to awaken. When she speaks from her wounds, he listens without reaction. When she speaks from her essence, he listens with reverence. He distinguishes the two, but never divides them, for he knows that both belong to her wholeness. He will not compete with her strength, he will honor it. He does not need to outshine her light to affirm his own. His masculinity is not threatened by intelligence or intuition. He has met enough illusions of superiority to know that wisdom requires partnership, not hierarchy. The true sage seeks the queen, not the follower, the woman who can meet him in reflection, who has her own vision of truth. There is a serenity in him that disarms the chaos of modern love. He is not easily impressed, but neither is he easily discouraged. His energy is constant, like the slow turning of the earth. He values depth over drama, process over performance. When others chase intensity, he cultivates understanding. To him, love is not the fire that burns, but the light that endures. In his presence, you feel seen through time. The sage does not look only at who you are, but at who you are becoming. His eyes do not seek to capture, they illuminate. He reminds you that growth is not a straight line, that wisdom is born through mistakes, and that self-knowledge is the highest form of love. He is not afraid of your uncertainty, for he has walked through his own and come out the other side with compassion. The sage's wisdom is rooted in humility. He knows how little one can truly know. This humility makes him trustworthy. He does not offer answers when the soul requires questions. He understands that truth cannot be given. It must be discovered. When you ask for advice, he will often respond with another question, gently turning your attention inward. He knows that the psyche speaks in its own language and must not be interrupted by borrowed certainty. He carries paradox like a lantern, knowing that the light of understanding always casts new shadows. He can say, "I don't know," without shame. This is the mark of his maturity, comfort with mystery. He knows that the purpose of wisdom is not to dissolve the unknown, but to deepen one's relationship with it. The false wise man clings to explanations. The true sage kneels before the mystery. His presence teaches through example. He does not claim mastery. He demonstrates it by the way he lives. He pays attention to details, treats others with quiet respect, and moves through the world with consideration. His discipline is not coldness, but devotion to harmony. The woman who loves him learns that consistency is not dullness, but love in its mature form, the kind that keeps its word long after the emotion has passed. The sage's gift is reflection. He helps her see herself clearly, but never cruelly. His honesty is a mirror polished by compassion. When he speaks truth, it does not wound, it liberates. His gaze does not demand change, it invites it. Through his calm, she feels safe to confront herself, her patterns, her fears, her falsehoods, and in doing so, she grows. His love is not dramatic because he does not need chaos to feel alive. He does not play games or withdraw to provoke reaction. His affection is steady, like the tide that always returns. He may not flood her life with grand gestures, but he nourishes it with constancy. Where the false lover brings fireworks, the sage brings firelight, warmth, endurance, clarity. To him, intimacy is the meeting of minds as much as of bodies. He believes that love without thought soon loses its direction. Conversation to him is communion. When they speak, their words are not mere exchange, they are exploration. He listens not to respond, but to understand what is being revealed through her voice. His patience gives her the courage to speak her truth. The sage is not immune to passion. He has simply integrated it. His fire burns inward, feeding insight rather than impulse. He knows that passion without perspective becomes chaos. He allows feeling to flow through him, but he anchors it in awareness. His heart and mind do not compete, they collaborate. He teaches her that the union of emotion and reason is the highest form of love. There is an image in alchemy that belongs to him, the mountain reflected perfectly in still water. The sage is that union, height and depth mirrored, heaven and earth joined in clarity. He sees both the peak of potential and the depth of shadow, and he loves both. He knows that the divine and the human meet precisely where imperfection is embraced. With him, love matures. It loses its feverish need for reassurance. It becomes a dialogue of truth. The woman who once mistook intensity for intimacy now finds that she can breathe. She no longer performs. She converses. She no longer fears silence. She listens. Their love becomes an atmosphere of mutual growth. He reminds her that wisdom is not detachment, but attention. He teaches her that love and truth are not opposites, that the highest truth is always an act of love, and the highest love is always rooted in truth. When she speaks from her pain, he does not flinch. When she speaks from her joy, he joins without envy. His presence sanctifies both, for he knows that life is whole only when joy and sorrow are seen as equals. To be with him is to live within a temple of reflection. The conversations linger in her mind long after they end. His words do not fade, they echo, but they do not trap her. His wisdom does not bind, it liberates. He does not seek to shape her into his image, but to return her to her own. This is why the sage's love feels like a horizon. You can walk toward it endlessly, and it always expands. It is not possessive, for it is born of vision, not appetite. He does not say, "You are mine," but "You are." And in those two words, she feels more cherished than in any promise of forever. The true sage is not an old man in years, but in soul. He has lived many lives within this one, through reflection, through awareness, through compassion. He has seen enough to know that the mind cannot grasp eternity, but the heart can glimpse it through understanding. When he loves as one who knows that nothing is lost, only transformed. He carries peace that is not passivity, but power, the peace of one who no longer needs to control, because he has surrendered to truth. His love, therefore, is not a strategy, but a state of being. He teaches by presence, guides by example, and leads by listening. When the woman who has met the lover now meets the sage, she realizes that love has evolved. What was once emotion becomes understanding. What was once fire becomes light. Their bond is not a tempest, but a sanctuary. In him, she finds the rarest gift, a love that frees her mind as much as it holds her heart. Together, they embody the next stage of the alchemical marriage, wisdom and eros joined, intellect and soul reconciled. Their love becomes dialogue not only with each other, but with existence itself. And in that dialogue, truth becomes tenderness, and tenderness becomes truth. For this is the sage's gift, to show that love in its highest form is knowledge of the soul, a knowing that does not seek to own, but to understand. And through that understanding, both become more human, more humble, and infinitely more alive. There is a man whose presence does not fill the room, it deepens it. When he enters, something unseen awakens, as though the air itself remembers silence. His strength is quiet, his eyes unhurried, his gestures few. He does not demand attention, yet you feel drawn toward him with a reverence you cannot name. It is not fascination, it is recognition. He carries an atmosphere of soul, that subtle gravity that belongs only to those who have knelt before life, who have been undone by it, and who have risen, not harder, but softer. This is the mystic, the man who has passed through the burning ground of suffering and emerged, illumined, not through avoidance, but through surrender. He has relinquished the illusion of control that rules most lives. He no longer wrestles with life, he moves with it. He has stopped asking the world to obey him and has begun to listen to what the world itself is saying. To love such a man is to stand at the edge of mystery, to feel that you are known, not through analysis, but through communion. The mystic's strength is unlike any other. It is not the strength to dominate, to win, or to prove. It is the strength to yield, to trust, to remain open when the heart would rather close. He has been humbled by the limitations of knowledge, by the futility of pride. He has seen how even wisdom can become a cage if it is not rooted in love. And so, he has surrendered his certainties to make room for grace. You can feel that surrender in his voice. He does not speak to convince, only to share. His words flow like water, clear, gentle, cleansing. When he listens beyond words, hearing what your soul is trying to say through the silence between sentences. His attention has no edge, no demand, no agenda. It feels like standing in sunlight after years of shadow. He gives space for the truth within you to emerge without judgment. The mystic has made peace with not knowing. He no longer fears mystery, he worships it. He understands that what is sacred cannot be grasped, only entered. The false mystic speaks in riddles to seem profound. The true mystic speaks simply, because he has found that truth requires no ornament. His simplicity is not poverty of thought, but richness of being. He has tasted both ecstasy and despair and found that they are but different expressions of the same divine current. He has descended into loneliness so absolute that it broke his need for control. He has prayed without answers, cried without comfort, and waited until waiting itself became prayer. Through this, he has learned that faith is not belief, but surrender, the trust that what is real does not need to be forced. To the woman who meets him, his love feels like stillness after a long storm. He does not pursue her with urgency, he meets her with presence. His affection is not dramatic, but it is unwavering. He does not promise that he will never hurt her, for he knows that all love carries shadow. Instead, he promises awareness. He will not turn away from the truth of what arises between them, whether it is beauty or pain. He does not fear her intensity. He welcomes it as the language of life itself. He is not seduced by form. He looks beyond appearance, beyond behavior, into essence. When he touches her, he does not seek pleasure alone, he seeks participation in the divine. To him, the body is not separate from the soul. It is its vessel. He approaches it as one approaches an altar, with devotion, with silence, with awe. To be touched by him is to be remembered as sacred. He knows that union cannot be forced. It must be revealed. He waits, listens, and moves when the moment itself invites him. In this patience lies his mastery. His love does not consume, it consecrates. Where others rush toward satisfaction, he waits for surrender, the place where desire becomes prayer. He does not love to complete himself, he loves to express what is already whole. His heart overflows not because he needs, but because he has become a vessel for what moves through him. He has learned that love is not possession but participation, that to love another is to see the divine shining through them. When he says, "I love you," he is not claiming, he is witnessing. The mystic has known solitude. He has walked through long years of silence where every false identity dissolved. He has faced the terror of emptiness and discovered that beneath it lies fullness. He has learned that love cannot be found by clinging to another, but only by opening oneself to what transcends both. His solitude has not made him distant, it has made him vast. He does not divide the sacred from the mundane. For him, there is no such boundary. The divine lives in the way light touches a wall, in the breath before speech, in the space between heartbeats. He has stopped looking for heaven above. He has found it within. To love him is to be initiated into a new way of seeing, where every gesture, every silence, every moment becomes holy. He has no need to impress, for he knows that the soul is not moved by performance. His humility is not self-denial, it is reverence. He understands that love and awe are the same motion, the soul bowing before what it cannot contain. He has discovered that surrender is not defeat, it is the highest form of power, for it allows life to act through him. This is why he does not control. He leads without command, influences without effort. His authority is invisible, yet undeniable. He has nothing to prove because he has accepted his smallness in the vastness of being. And from that acceptance arises a strength that no arrogance can imitate, the strength of one who belongs entirely to what is real. He does not fear endings. Death to him is not tragedy but transition. He has seen too much to mistake impermanence for loss. His heart does not cling, it honors. When love changes form, he does not chase its shadow. He lets it go with gratitude, knowing that nothing true can ever be lost. He has learned that all forms dissolve, but essence endures. The woman who stands beside such a man feels the difference immediately. His peace is not apathy, it is depth. His detachment is not coldness, it is spaciousness. With him, there is room for her to be. He does not interrupt her becoming, he reveres it. He gives her silence, and in that silence, she finds herself. He does not push her to open. His stillness makes opening inevitable. His love does not seek to fix, to define, or to secure. It allows, it trusts, it watches with tenderness as the mystery of the other unfolds. He understands that to truly love is to allow freedom, and that freedom is not distance but respect for the soul's autonomy. His devotion is to her essence, not her role, not her image, not even her presence. He loves her beyond circumstance, for he loves through essence. And yet, the mystic is not without shadow. The same sensitivity that connects him to the divine can, if unbalanced, withdraw him from the world. He must guard against the temptation to transcend life instead of embodying it. The false mystic escapes, the true mystic integrates. He knows that spirit without flesh is illusion, and flesh without spirit is emptiness. He lives at the threshold between heaven and earth, belonging fully to both. His love teaches her this same balance. Through him, she learns that transcendence is not elsewhere. It happens in the depth of presence. She discovers that devotion is not retreat, but full participation. To see, to feel, to suffer, to rejoice without clinging. His presence reawakens in her the instinct for surrender, not to him, but to life itself. He carries in his soul the image of the ocean and the sky meeting at the horizon. He knows that the masculine and the feminine are not opposites, but reflections, two movements of the same eternal tide. In his union with the woman, he does not seek mastery, but merging not of bodies only, but of consciousness. In her he meets the world, and in himself he meets the divine. He does not resist change. He flows with it, like a river, knowing that its source and its mouth are the same. His faith is not bound to doctrine. It is lived through every act of awareness. He finds God in laughter, in grief, in labor, in touch. He worships through presence, not ritual. His temple is the moment. His prayer is attention. To the woman who can meet him there, love ceases to be a story and becomes a state of being. She feels not possessed, but expanded. He does not ask her to kneel. He invites her to rise beside him into the same surrender. Together, they become the mirror of creation itself, the eternal dance of opposites reconciled through awareness. Their love has no beginning and no end. It is not measured in time, but in depth. It does not promise eternity. It is eternity lived one moment at a time. There is no fear in it, for there is nothing to lose. There is no striving, for there is nowhere to go. There is only the still pulse of being love as existence itself. When the mystic loves, he does not fall, he dissolves. The boundary between self and other softens until what remains is unity. This is not the blindness of infatuation, but the luminous clarity of union. He loves as one who sees the divine in everything, and because of that vision, everything he touches becomes sacred. The world often misunderstands him. To those who crave noise, his quiet seems empty. To those addicted to certainty, his faith seems vague. But those who have tasted the same silence recognize it. They know that his stillness is not absence but fullness, that it holds the entire sky within it. When you love such a man, you do not feel owned, you feel infinite. His presence does not confine you, it opens you. He asks for nothing but honesty, and even that not as demand, but as invitation. His gaze tells you that he will stay through your becoming, through light and shadow, through doubt and faith. This is the final archetype, the culmination of all others. The king rules the realm, the warrior protects it, the magician reveals its meaning, the lover breathes life into it, the sage gives it wisdom, but the mystic consecrates it. He is the bridge between the human and the divine, the meeting point where love ceases to be personal and becomes universal. The woman who stands beside him no longer seeks to be adored or understood. She too becomes vessel of silence, of devotion, of grace. Together, they do not merely love each other, they participate in love itself, the eternal mystery that gave birth to all things. For the mystic has learned the last and hardest lesson, that love is not possession, not salvation, not even relationship. It is the soul remembering its own divine origin through the mirror of another. And when he meets her eyes, he does not say, "You are mine." He says, "We are one." And in that moment, she knows that she has not only found the right man, she has found the eternal within him.